pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Ms. Salcha?
Here.
Mr. Lindemann?
Here.
Mr. Ramos?
Here.
Mr. Bray?
Here, item 1D, board meeting minutes not previously approved, the January 9th, 2024 regular board meeting. Mr. Lindemann,
I move to approve.
is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Smith?
Mr. Smith, any discussion regarding minutes, board members? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bray?
Yes, item E, summary of current events, Superintendent Samaniego.
Yes, good evening, Mr. President, board members, members of our staff and community. I'm happy to report that we successfully started our school year last Wednesday. Welcomed all of our kids with much excitement. Our staff started the year 2 days before, and we had our welcome back orientation a day before. And it always feels like teachers don't have enough time to prepare their classrooms with those 2 days. Our new teachers also went through the new teacher induction training for 3 days, and that went very well. I also want to inform our parents in our community that we have been approved to continue free lunch program for another 4 years for all of our schools, and that's thanks to the work of Mr. Pineda and you know, applying for that and his team. So we're super proud of that. You know, that's all I have to report today.
You know, and let me ask you, if you could, if right off the top of your head, could you kind of, not only for the board's information, but for the public, about the sale of Bay Avenue School?
Oh, yes, okay.
Would you do that?
Yes, so we have preliminary, not official notification from the county, and we should be expecting that in the next few weeks. The sale of A Avenue was on this July election, and preliminary notice is that we did pass the election, the sale. And so moving forward, we've already reached out to our attorney. There's some steps that we need to do as far as with Chiricahua, and that's going to be happening this week. And so we'll wait, and they will have, I believe, 90 days after official notification to process payment.
Too close.
So
I don't want to put you on the spot, but did you get somewhat of a count on how that went?
No, not
No.
a count. Like, again, we got a notification that preliminary numbers say that he passed, but we don't have actual numbers. Once we get the letter from the county, will give us the details. But they feel confident in saying that he passed, basically.
Okay, that was for information on part
Yes.
of your report. Your Superintendent's Gem Award.
Yes. So our employee that was nominated for the Superintendent's Gem Award by his colleagues is Mr. Billy Watkins, a custodian at Paul Huber Middle School. Mr. Watkins is a custodian at Huber, and he hasn't been with us for too long. But his colleagues say that, you know, he strives to make our school such a clean and amazing place. In all of my years as a teacher, my room has never been cleaner. Why I really nominate him is because he's a vital person in our PHMS, Folklorico group, by allowing us to finally have a room of our own. For the past 7 years, we have been nomads traveling from location to location and trying to find stability since there was really no official room for practices and gatherings. When Billy found this out, he cleared a storage, abandoned classroom for the Folklorico Club to have their own casita. So this means the world to me, and I can never thank him enough. Also, individuals said that he worked really hard all summer long to make sure that, you know, classrooms were clean, and so our custodians worked very hard over the summer and all year long. So Mr. Billy Watkins. So I was running to get your trim, but it says Douglas Unified School District number 27. You are being presented the Superintendent's Gem Award for going above and beyond, being an extraordinary employee, and always going the extra mile. So thank you very much. And I selected a green gem for you because you are bright and bubbly and all of that. So she's going to really want to make sure get back.
Okay, you want to just move on to the next item, leading change,
Yes.
administrators?
Yes, so, Board, you've asked me numerous times that when our staff from teachers and board principals attend conferences, we'd like to hear back, from the team and see what they learned. Can I give it to Mr. Watkins, you want to come up really quick? So it's your bright green one, okay? For the bright and bubbly and Karen. Thank you. You want to turn around?
Are you gonna ad-lib your speech, or are you just gonna do it? You don't have any notes.
And so this past summer, some of our teachers, administrators, and we had a group that attended Leading Change, and I heard great things about Leading Change this year. And so our administrators are here today, and they're going to give a brief presentation on some of the sessions they attended and things that they learned that can be applied in our schools and in our classrooms. Admin?
So as you know, my name is Rhonda LaMadrid. I'm the principal at Ray-Brain Middle School. We attended Leading Change Conference put on by ADE June 6th through the 8th. This is a conference that was held in Phoenix. One of the sessions that a few of us attended was called Lead from Every Seat, Building Teacher Leadership. I personally selected this particular session because I want to ensure that we're building our leadership, not only just with our leadership team, lead teachers, but also with all teachers in general. The premise of it was to foster collaboration, build facilitation and leadership skills. They modeled and practiced active listening, what that looked like from an admin role as well as a lead teacher role, summarizing techniques, and they also touched on cognitive coaching. Cognitive coaching practices are more like reflective practices, where it's a process during which teachers explore the thinking behind the practices, and that supports the 4 functions of collaborating, consulting, evaluating, and coaching. It was very insightful because not only did we listen to the presenter, we got to practice with other admin and other people that were in that session as well. So it was something that I felt I learned quite a bit from, and I'd like to come back and implement that in my school as well, so that I have my veteran teachers as well as my new teachers take on leadership roles as well within the school. Another session that a few of us attended was What's Strong with You? This was one that Mr. Morales and I had attended. This is fostering positive relationships that provide not only emotional support, informational support, but also instrumental support to both the parent and the child. And one thing that stuck out for us is that self-care matters. A lot of us, and I can speak for a lot of us admin here, where we put ourselves last. It's just instinctual, is what we do. Our kids matter, our teachers matter, our buildings matter. But if we don't put ourselves first, we're not able to give 100% that we'd like to without putting ourselves and taking care of ourselves first. So self-care helps not only to regulate us as administration, but also helps to regulate the parent, regulate the child. And if we model this, we can then ensure that our teachers and our staff model it as well.
Another aspect of that too was also looking at also the strengths of the parents as well too. We're always focusing on the strengths of the child and their weaknesses, how they can grow. But also when a parent comes in and visits you, we always, sadly sometimes as humans, we make assumptions or not. But when we're having parents come over to the school, look at the positive parts as well. Parents showed up, first of all. Let's say you do have a meeting with the parents. They showed up. That's a plus. and really embrace that as well. Or other little things, okay, the child is coming to school every day. Also embrace that as well. That's a plus as well. So you actually do look at those positive sides of, okay, the parent's involved, the parent comes to conferences, the child's come to school every day. You know, they come in the morning to get their breakfast. So if you look at the title, What's Strong With You, it's, you know, what is their strengths is what you're looking at. And then it was some of the things that we learned during that session as well. They also gave us like examples of, you know, scenarios. And they asked us to relate to which is the parent you think or the situation that you would least like to be in. So we kind of got into our groups and then we discussed why. And then we looked at the same scenarios and they say, well, which is the scenario that you can most relate to? And it would be easy for you to handle as well. So we got into those groups as well. So it's looking at different situations and looking at those positive moments that you can use to create that positive relationship with the parents as well too, not just with the students.
Good evening, board members. I'm Mr. Martin, principal at Paul Huber. And, something's wrong with that screen. The presentation that Sydney and I went to was using formative supervision to help teacher growth. And really what it had us do was focus on providing, as administrators, different types of concepts and feedbacks to our teachers to help them grow, to find what's the best motive for success for our students.
And some of the things to do in the classroom is, what they want us to do is to be visible in the classroom, take off our admin hat, and be a student. Actually just participate with everybody else. Gather information of what the students are doing and how the teachers are interacting, provide coaching and positive, constructive feedback.
And so when we take our administrative hat off, what they've asked us to do is be a listener. So listen to what's happening, do the work with the students, and so that you know what's being taught and you can identify any misconceptions that might be visible there. And to provide meaningful feedback, not just, you know, you did a great job, but give them something to grow off of. Thank you.
It's me again. So another sessions I attended was called Parent University. And pretty much what this is your monthly meetings with parents on various topics. And really the main purpose is kind of build that bridge and enhance the relationships between the community. So it's not just the parents, but the community, whether it's a business, whether it's another agency, for example, like Cherokee or U of A, and the school. And really think about your school and the needs of the school and the parents. And it's to build that gap, but also not just by whim or whatever, how you want to look at it, but more intentional and purposeful. One of the biggest things that we talked about at that session, which I thought was really kind of lining for me in the sense of what topics you talk about at these sessions, you know, so that's something that they kind of discussed. And the presenter said, well, sometimes we do a session with a parent, you know, let's say some kind of training for them or PD provide informational, and this is what we feel they think that they want to know. Where this is, instead of saying, you know, to ourselves, what is it that they want to know? So they kind of gave us the idea of, you know, put a parent survey out there, you know, have different topics, and then see which ones will get the majority of votes per se and the most interest in, and then you build your calendar around that. So it could be, for example, as you see on the screen, it could be, for example, September might be curriculum night, because that was one of the popular selections. Or, you know, you say October is going to be healthy eating night, so you bring in an agency from outside, a nutrition department, Mr. Pineda, right, to come in and present to the parents. November might be bowling nights, and reading night might be December, and then effective parent-teacher communication in January. So it kind of gives you a better plan of what the parents need, and hopefully that increases your participation. Because we have to also think about how different are our parents versus 21st century parents. Very different mentality, very different way of communicating with them as well. Today, obviously, we have everything from Class Dojo to WhatsApp, text messages to voicemails and so forth. So even thinking about that, and also even the working parent today is so different from our working parents. You know, most of us were raised by, a father who went to work, mom hopefully stayed home as you know, took care, did her part as well in that way, which is not an easy job, because that was my mother. But you know, now today's parents, you have both parents who are working. So how you can communicate there as well, and also how you present. Also, that forum too, is it all just going to be in person? Is it going to be virtual as well as an option? Also, to, you know, how aggressive are you going to be also in the communication? By aggressive, a lot of times we think, well, aggressive is not good. When we think of the term aggressive in this manner, we're talking about how many ways can we communicate with parents? And once again, it could be phone, it could be emails, texts, flyers, and so forth. And then at the end, the reason it's called Parent University, because if that parent attends 75% of the meetings, then they graduate. You have a celebration at the end of the year, and they get a certificate and, and hopefully a medal or something, and they're graduates of Parent University. So, thank you.
Hi, I'm Henry Jones, principal at Sarah Marley. I don't know how much you guys know about AI, but for the purposes of my presentation, I'm going to assume that's nothing, just because I'm going to give you basics. So I'd heard of AI. Obviously, we've been dealing with it in education, not so much at the elementary level. I know there are concerns at the upper levels about kids using it to write their papers and stuff like that. But I was behind the curve before we attended this because I didn't know how much teachers were using it in positive ways to do all sorts of different things. So one of the ones we went to, ChatGPT is basically the most available. It's not necessarily the best one. It's just the one that's most people are using. You can download it onto your phone. At the thing, they had us download it to our phone, and you can ask it questions. And like, if you want it to like devise a lesson plan, you just say, "I need a lesson plan for history on this subject," and you can see it just 30 seconds later. You will have a lesson plan that contains all the elements you asked for. It's really amazing, and it's available to everybody. I mean, everybody out there has available. If you have a phone, you can get the ChatGPT on your phone. There are other more specialized ones for education that we've been using. Are you going to talk about that part? Okay. Oh, here we go. So someone else is going to talk for a minute.
Okay, so good evening. Noemi Escalante, assistant principal at Powell Huber. So the most popular IA tools, going along with Mr. Jones, so we did two. So one for the teachers, the most popular one is Magic School. And that's the one it's specifically for teachers, and it focuses on the lesson plans. It goes professional emails, assessments, unit plan generators. So for teachers that want to create those units, it creates it for them. And then after that, they just go back in and they fix whatever needs to be fixed. And it's basically, it's done for you. And then from there, you just kind of go and modify whatever you need to modify for your students. Accommodations. So for the teachers, Magic School is the one that they recommend, and it's a free platform that teachers can use. You can pay for it to be more personalized, but if you use the free one, you get most of the benefits. Now, for the students, ChatGPT is the biggest one that they use. And it's so awesome if it's used correctly. A lot of people think it's just for cheating, like students use it to plagiarize, but in reality, it can be used in different ways if we teach our students how to use it. It can help you with homework assistance, so it clarifies concepts. Students can ask for explanations if they're not understanding the concept. Personalized learning at their grade level. And the last one, especially for English language learners, it has where they can have conversations with ChatGPT, and it helps them develop that language. So it can be used in different ways to benefit our students. It's not just we need to learn more about it, but it can be used, it's technology, it can be used for good or for bad, but if we teach our students how to use it, it can be very beneficial. And then Ms. Rodriguez wasn't able to be here today, so I'm reading hers. And it's basically the same thing. We went to the same sessions. Generative IA in the classroom, she's going over the same thing, how sometimes it's being used. They think of ChatGPT as plagiarism right away, and it's not necessary just for that. It can be used for tutoring, for teachers, for skill development. And she added a few pictures. She added a few pictures of the most common ones, and that's how they look. Magic School, like literally you click on that and it generates whatever you want. You don't even have to type it. You can just click and add can you create an email for a parent? And you just add whatever topic you want to, like behavior, we're having a meeting after school, and it generates that email for you. You go back and fix and add whatever, you personalize it for whatever you need it, but it creates that template, that main thing. So it's really useful. And those are the 2 pictures that she added. The last person. Oh, it's you.
So some of the things to look out for with the AI, there are some ethical dilemmas, bias. You never know. You've got to be careful, just like on anything in the internet. You've got to be careful that you're not giving a biased view of whatever you're putting out there. Privacy issues are obviously, a big concern. People are worried about job displacement, about the robots taking our jobs. It's happening. It could happen further. Control, making sure that we're in control of these systems. I got to tell you, it was kind of a shock. Even though I pretend to be young, I am not. And it took me a while to wrap my head around this. When they started telling me about it, I was like, oh my God, this is the first step to the Terminator showing up at my house. We need to slow this down. But it can be, I've come along. This can be a very useful tool in the right way. I've seen teachers do wonderful things with this, and I was really behind the curve, and I don't know. Maybe you guys know a lot more about it than I do, but it blew my mind at this conference. It was what I walked away with, and it was really worth it. Just for that, it was a wonderful conference, and I thank you guys for sending us. It was amazing. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions?
I have a question, if I may.
Go ahead, Mr. Lindemann.
What caught my eye here is when you say that you can develop lesson plans. And if a teacher develops lesson plans, right away I'm thinking, are they going to be tied to the standards? Or is that something that you have to go in and redevelop?
No, if you put your standards in there, it will develop it. It will tie it right to it, and that was one of the questions we had originally as well. The information you give it, it'll include everything in there. If you put the standard in there, the school AI deal will include those standards in there. And again, like I said, part of me thought when I first heard about this, I was like, that doesn't seem right. That seems like cheating, but is it? It's just another tool that you can use to create. It does. I don't know that it matters how the lesson plan gets developed, as long as as long as the teacher's doing it with fidelity and giving that lesson. My thoughts on that are changing, but it's just another tool, but it can be a really useful one, and you can tie that right to the standards.
Yeah, it sounds like all you're doing is quicker research.
Correct.
Yes. And finding all this, and then I imagine then you can say your grade level, you can put that in there, and then you've got something that is appropriate to the
Right.
grade level, the standard, the whatever. That's good. Thank you.
It's pretty exciting.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
I have just a second.
Go ahead, Ms. Altow.
Regarding the lesson plans, Henry, I think AI is very fascinating. I do, and I know that I don't understand everything about it. But what I wondered, when you generate your lesson plan through AI, I can see where it will help the teacher in coming up with something to look at and to teach by. But will they always be able to really, I want to say, understand? Because and please don't misunderstand that part too. But like when you're looking at higher level thinking, and you put in with ChatGPT, and you put in that you want higher level thinking questions and all like that, and when the computer's generating that and it's not coming from the teacher, that would be my concern.
See, that's to me, that's where the work comes in. Because yes,
Okay.
now you have this document, and then the work that the teacher has to do is to study that plan and make it their own,
Okay.
and present it to the. That part's the art of teaching is
Yeah.
the way you present it. And so, in my mind, the lesson plan's done, but the hard work now is you have to understand that lesson plan
Right.
and learn how to present it. And I think as we move along here, before the Terminators show up, it will be it'll start developing. And like you said, the paid one will be more personalized to you. But there's still, there's still heavy lifting that the teacher has to do to take that document and get it to the kids.
That was just
Yeah,
when I
no,
was listening,
good
all of a sudden
question.
a little bell went off and I went, oh.
Yeah.
One thing too is thank you for giving this presentation. I really appreciate it. I think there's a misconception a lot of times when people go to conferences or trainings that they're just going through the motions and not actually learning something and bringing it back and utilizing it within their classrooms or their schools or their district. I think there's a misconception there, and I'm really glad that to see what you've talked about and the enthusiasm that you show. And I hate to out her here, Denise Cox and I went to cognitive coaching and we went through multiple weeks of cognitive coaching and came back to Douglas and nobody really did that much with it. I mean, we did when we were coaching, an individual teacher who needed help, but it's really exciting to hear that it's not gone, and Rodna was talking about it. Pardon me if I don't use your last name. I'm sorry. Mrs. La Madrid. Talking about using that within your school and reflective listening because it's extremely important. It's important in the classroom. It's important in your relationships you have with your teachers. So I just want to say that you're really showing that you're the educational leaders of your schools.
So I've been doing this I've been in education for 26 years. I've been to my fair share of conferences, and they're hit or miss. Some of them you go to and you're like, wow, that was amazing, and some of them you're just like, ooh, that was a waste. The ones they sent us to this year, and I don't know why. I've been to Leading Change before. This Leading Change was the best one. I've been there like 5 or 6
That's
times,
exciting.
and this version was the best one. I walked away with a lot of new stuff to think about, and I know the Elevate conference that they sent us to. I have teachers that are doing that. Using that stuff in the classroom every day. There was a lot of hands-on. Get kids excited, motivational stuff, and I've already got teachers using it. So I would say the stuff that we went to this year was among the best stuff I've ever been to in my whole career. It was really great.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I add something to your presentation?
She wants to.
May I add something?
Yes, Nicole?
So, from a student's point of view, like when I first saw the ChatGPT slide, I was like, uh-oh, they're banning ChatGPT. But I personally do use ChatGPT, and like in a good way. I don't cheat, I promise. For example, let's say physics. Physics is a very complicated and complex subject. And when I'm doing homework at home, obviously I don't have my teacher there with me. And she's taught me like to work backwards from the problem. So like, let's say she gives me the answer, but still I don't know how to get to the answer. So by just asking simply like, how do you get to the answer? Like, it explains it step by step. And like, that's just the way that it helps me. And not just in like mathematical, like maybe in English, like if I'm stuck in something, I don't understand the word, and I look it up on Google, and like it gives me a very complex thing, like just searching it up on ChatGPT, it's like super easy, and like sometimes I'll be like, just dumbify it for me, I don't get this. So I would say it's a really great tool, not just for students, but for teachers as well, as long as they know how to utilize it.
Well, thank you for
Thank you.
that.
I was going to ask her,
And-
tell us, Nicole, about ChatGPT.
You know, I've
I
said,
love ChatGPT.
and I hope you continue to interact, but I've said so many times that I felt that the ex officio person, the student body president, represented more than just a robotic report on all of the activities going on in the school. And I'm glad to see that you're getting involved, and the board encourages you to get involved. We always want your standpoint because you represent what the most important thing in the district is. So thank you for that. All right, members of the board, does anybody else have any questions or comments? So that was a very good presentation, by the way, very informative.
They actually typed into ChatGPT a presentation for the governing board members on leading change, and it whipped it up for them in 30 seconds.
Yay!
No, just
Well,
kidding. They
you
did
know-
a good job.
But actually coming from that level, coming from the principal, the building principal level, is kind of unique and unusual because we always hear from the classroom teachers. And it's good to know that you people are involved. You're the educational leader in that building. And to know that you're that intrinsically involved in those kinds of things is very rewarding to us collectively for all of you. And then one last comment. Did they all, I noticed Corey's not there, nobody from the high school. Did they all attend or?
No, there was a group. Some attended Leading Change and with some teachers as well. So not everybody attended, not every admin attended.
Okay, all right, thank you. Members of the board, anything else regarding that? Thank you for that report again. Governing board member reports. Mr. Smith?
I have nothing.
Nothing? Ms. Halshaw?
No.
Mr. Lindeman?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I just wanted to thank everyone for their support in my latest endeavor, and I appreciate that always. And I just wanted to say that even though I came up a little short, earning the silver, that I still am pleased and humbled to serve as the school board member. So I want to continue in that. And I also serve on the Douglas City Finance Committee as chairman too. So I'm still serving our community. But thank you.
Mr. Ramos?
No, no report.
Let's go to 2A, school activity report from Nicole.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Samaniego, and members of the public. The activity report at DHS and DUSD schools for the month of August are as follows. We've got great news to share about our students at DHS. Summer school was successful. 345 half credits were earned with the help of using ESSER funding. We hope to continue this model of summer school with your support. At the Skills USA National Leadership Conference in Atlanta, our students clinched bronze medals for Outstanding Chapter and gold medals for Models of Excellence. At the HOSA International Leadership Conference in Houston, our health students secured 3rd place in the Healthcare Issues exam, 5th place in Parliamentary Procedure, and 5th place in Public Health, with top 10% ranking in healthcare issues. Now, what's going on in our district? At DHS, August 5th, football and cross-country trials start. August 12th, golf, volleyball, and swim trials start. Week of August 26th, fall sport competitions begin with golf, volleyball, and football. At RBMS, Quarter 1 sports begin this week, volleyball and cross-country. PTSO meeting August 8th at 5 p.m. in the auditorium. At Paul Huber Middle School, Quarter 1 sports begin tryouts. PTSO meeting August 8th, 2024 from 4:30 to 5:30. ESS Parent Night August 29th, 2024. At Clausen, congratulations to Ms. Molina, 5th grade class, first class to turn in all paperwork, won our pizza challenge. Students' council speeches and voting will be held August 14th. Title I and Move On When Reading meeting August 20th, 2024. At Stevenson, PTSO meeting August 15, 2024 at 5 p.m. Title I and MOWR meeting Tuesday, August 20th, 2024 at 5 p.m. At Joe Carlson welcomes back assembly to be held this Friday, August 9th. We began our attendance challenge last week. Ms. Mendes' first grade class had perfect attendance the first week of school. Joe Carlson PTSO meeting to be held Thursday, August 22nd. At Sarah Marley, the Sarah Marley attendance challenge starts on Monday, August 12th. Title I and Move On When Reading meeting Tuesday, August 27th at 4 p.m. Welcome back to school. Academic pep rallies and Kids at Hope presentations were held on Wednesday, July 31st, And at Ferris Student Council elections on August 23rd for grades 3rd grade through 5th grade at 9 a.m. Title I and Models on Move On When Reading meeting Tuesday, August 20th at 5. English and 5:30 Spanish. Ferris PTSO meeting to be held on Tuesday, August 27th at 5 p.m. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Go ahead.
No, and I'd like to formally welcome you as our ex officio member, and like Mr. Bahrain said, we'd like you to chime in whenever possible, ask questions on any agenda items. And I had the opportunity to travel with Nicole and the Skills USA over the summer. And she also was our MC, one of our MCs for our Welcome Back Teacher Orientation. And she did a fabulous job along with Alina del Castillo. So, welcome.
Thank you.
Well, while we're on that subject, let me add another little comment that I think that to show that the board would like more involvement from her and that we'd like to make that position much more than, as I said, that perfunctory report that's given every month. If there's ever anything on any ASBA conference that you think that it would be informative for her, such as policy changes in Title 15 laws or whatever, ask her to go. And of course, I think if you ask her to go, she certainly would be excused, so you could take time off. And so, no, sir, I'm serious about
Yes.
that. That if you're going to participate as a board, you should see what board function is and all the dynamics of what they do, and she should be taken to a conference if she wants to go. And if I were you, I would, because you're going to be there for 3 days, nice hotel. These people have nice meals and the works. But I'm serious about that.
Thank you. Definitely.
Thank you. Year-to-date budget balance and travel reports, Mr. Soto.
Good evening, Mr. President, board members. You have the budget balance report for the month of July. Again, in July, there's not a lot of activity, of course. School barely started on the last day of July. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be encumbered still on that budget balance report. You might see a big number, but I mean, that's gonna decrease for the next month for sure. I don't know if you have specific questions in terms of those balances at all.
Are you done with the report?
With this one.
Is that your report? Members of the board, do you have any questions regarding the budget?
I do.
Ms.
And
Salchow?
this is mainly for public information and consideration. And Mr. Soto, if you wouldn't mind just kind of explaining tax credit procedures. I mean, when people donate, and maybe it's earmarked, how it can be used, what it's used for. Just
An overall
just a
quick-
small summary, please.
Right. Tax credits, it's a form of donation, of course, and they get, the donor will get that tax exemption on their tax returns. Sadly, there's not a lot of room to use those funds. One of the main things is the monies can be used for extracurricular activities, which means is after school or before schools. So the main purposes will be field trips, will be entry fees, like for athletic teams, things like that. There's been a lot of changes, I will say, recently to that, where there's limitations in terms of purchasing like capital items, like equipment, like uniforms. We have our form online. When people want to use that tax credit, they fill and whatever they want that money to go to, and they can split it as many ways as they want. Individual is $200. For married couples, it's $400. If let's just say I decide to donate $200 for academics and $200 for athletics, I can do that split. And I can be specific as of where I want that money to go. I can say I want $200 for cross country. The one thing I cannot do or is to specifically say what kind of item I want to purchase, because there's the statutes on ARS that regulate those things. And when I say that there's been changes recently, there was a time frame from 2019 to June 30, 2024, where there was a lot of money collected and it needed to be spent. The legislature changed that a little bit to be able to purchase capital items, which is playgrounds and equipment and stuff like that. As of July 1st, 2024, that went away. So that now went back to what it was before. So again, there's a lot of limitations in terms of the tax credits. And the schools can use them, obviously, of course, for those things like field trips and for entry fees and for, I believe, hotel, don't quote me on that, but I believe that's one of those things. But the limitations on that is the capital items. I've heard from some people saying, well, it's not fair, I just want this money to be used for a specific. There's other ways, like they can donate to gift and donations. The bad thing is that they don't get that tax exemption on their tax returns. That's the sad thing. Or they can either purchase the items themselves and then donate to the school. But again, you can use that receipt and put it on your tax returns, but you won't get as much of a deduction for that.
Well, I really want to thank you for explaining this and the changes that have been done. There's a lot of misconception,
Right.
especially in the public. But one more question is, do we have a lot of tax credit money that comes into the district? Would you say,
Not a lot per se.
Moderately.
It's okay. I don't have a specific amount.
no, I know.
But I can tell you that some clubs or some, let's just say, athletic or schools can have $3,000-4,000.
Okay.
So it's not like,
It's not huge.
especially to buy playground equipment and stuff like that. I mean, but they can use those for field trips and things like that. But the amount is not as big.
Well, once again, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I want to clarify that conversation took place regarding a line item in the budget, and it also took place with allowable expenses, and you never gave any budget balance regarding that, but you do have line item balances there. So
Correct.
I just want to make sure that's understood. The other thing I think that since you brought it up, you need to clarify that window. And I think Mrs. Salchow may have been alluding to it, and you didn't specifically say that prior to that window, when it was very restrictive,
Correct.
that there were allowable expenses with that tax exempt money, that the person that was getting the tax exemption could specifically designate what they wanted. And at that time, they could say they wanted to buy shirts for the basketball team, or they
Right.
wanted, that was tax exemption. But then when that window came about, it precluded them from doing all of that. And I think you need to know that, because a lot of people, and especially people that donate, say, and I've had them ask me,
Right.
is that there was a time when we said we wanted to buy specific things at specific schools, which was capital, and it was allowable. And so we had him reconfirm, and if luck would have it, the auditors are here today. And so that is fresh information right from the
Wonderful.
auditors, all right? So I want
Well,
you to know that.
I know
And-
that,
Go
you
ahead.
know, years ago, when the tax credit, I think it was in the year 2000, wasn't it, that we started having the ability to donate money and it be exempt on our taxes. I know that for certain sporting events, and I'll give the example of my daughter in cheerleading, we were able to donate the money, the $200, and that paid for her cheerleading camp. And then we had to notate that it said for Megan Selchow. She's on the record. She's gonna. And then we, in turn, received the credit on our taxes. And I don't believe you can do that type of thing now. So it was really kind of a loose. There weren't as many restrictions. Let's just put it that way.
Well, I think we need to really clarify that. The statute says that if you're going to do it under the statute, the tax code, that it has to be no capital now, as is
Correct.
clearly informative in the uniform code. It doesn't say it in the law, but it says it in the Uniform System of Financial Records. That if a person wants to avoid having that exemption made now, they can still donate the money, but they don't donate it as a tax exemption.
Yes.
So let's say you want to donate to your favorite athletic program, let's say. So you know that when you go in there, you fill out that form, that you say, I want to buy baseball caps or whatever, right? He says you can't do it because it's capital. Say, well, then I don't want it as a tax exemption, I just want to donate it. And then it comes to the board, as we're gonna see later down the agenda. And that's just for public, because I've had people ask me, you've had people ask you, and they
Right.
said that they're not gonna donate anymore if they can't by capital outlay.
what they want.
Yeah,
And, you
what they
know,
want.
they want that control. I hate to
Okay.
use, I
Yeah.
can't think of a better word right now.
Okay.
So.
So, thanks for
what's-
that explanation.
Thank you.
And
And
if
like I
I may
said, and
add,
this is for
Mr.
public
If I may
information.
add that our business department, because we've been overlooking, you know, the tax credit and getting some clarification, but if a person or a community member donates to, let's say, Ray Barrain Middle School, Maria Ruiz's classroom, you can, you know, specify that. That money is to be spent for Maria Ruiz's, you know, classroom, under the guidelines of the tax credit. And so if that money is, you know, spent, it goes through different channels, ends up in business office, and that's the final approval, and there's a form that we follow, and we cross-reference and check that expenditure that they want to make out of that bucket of money is correctly being spent. And if it's not, if it doesn't meet the guidelines, then it gets kicked back and said, sorry, you can't buy that, you know, basketball court for Maria Ruiz's classroom.
Bouncy
You know, or
castle.
something like that. So there are some, there is oversight happening, but we do want to encourage our community members
Yes.
to donate to our schools, because we all know that our budgets are so constrained, and sometimes very limited to what we can
Correct.
do, so.
And for each school, you have a budget balance in that
Yes, sir.
category, of
Yes.
course. Saying the principals know it.
Yes.
And they know now what the restrictions are, whether they can, and then who's allowed to spend it, who makes the determination, who spends it and who doesn't.
Correct.
All right, anything else regarding anything? Okay, I wanna ask you about, and I had an opportunity to speak to Deborah yesterday about the concern at the state level regarding the grants. And there's a major concern about the Department of Education and their mishandling and all of the money that they returned this year
Yeah.
because they didn't allocate it. And everybody's pointing the finger at everybody, but the blame lies with the State Superintendent of Public Instruction because he oversees that. And if he were in private business, he'd be fired because of all of the consternation and all of the confusion that he causes in the school districts. And it's well propagated, everybody knows about it. So I just want to know, as far as our district is concerned, now Deborah gave me a brief, and this is for board consumption. How are we doing with from your perspective, and if you need to get Deb up here, it's important, it's part of the budget. How are we doing with those funds, and have we been directly affected by that inadequacy, or let's just say that's what I'm going to use it at the state level?
At the state level. Yeah, I mean, I read the article that you're mentioning, and it's sad to see, you know, $24 million just sent back to the feds for not proper allocation. Most of those were for professional development, I believe. Deb?
Well, it's school, if
It's
I
school
may answer,
improvement.
it's school improvement
Yeah.
grant. And so DUSD currently does not have the school improvement grants, and those grants are awarded, or you have to apply for if you are, one of your schools is under that school improvement comprehensive or school improvement fashion. And so as with any grant, comes a lot more responsibility when you're awarded the grant. And so DUSD is currently not affected. The money that is being sent back is only for those schools that had the school improvement grant. And all of our grants under the ESSA, and our Title I here is in good condition. So I'm happy to report that we are not one of those districts because we didn't have that grant. And so what we interpret from that article is that probably and most likely the awardees of those monies were given that money probably a little late in the game, and also didn't have a whole lot of oversight or support maybe coming in from ADE and saying, this is what you have to spend and this is by when you have to spend. When you have the school improvement grant, because I had it when I was at our BMS as a principal, and it does require you to do a lot more because all of it is for supporting of the school so that you can improve your academic achievement. So we don't have it, we didn't apply for it. It doesn't affect us. Our grants are in good condition, we're solid, and happy to report that, so.
Well, she stole your thunder.
Sorry. Sorry, Deb.
No, step up to the podium. No, what I want to ask you, is the important thing is all those grants, and she's absolutely correct how she reported, some districts had to give money back.
Right.
But as far as our grants are concerned, because of the services that we're offering the students in the district, they're appropriate, you've got enough, and especially the raises that the board gives from time to time, and that the part of that, your grants that cover those costs, we're fine with that, right?
Yes, at this point in time, all the grants are completely balanced. And like I had reported last time to the board, we're just waiting for Ms. Barcelo to do the completion reports, and then we'll know the amount of carryover that we have. And then we'll allocate that according to the stipulations of each grant.
So the caution is, as board members, is that when, let's just say, when we give an increase, then it certainly impacts every one of those grants
Yes, it
financially.
does.
We don't want you to come back and say, you know what, we're not getting that whole appropriation, now we're in trouble, and then it goes to Mr. Soto, and he'll be in trouble, right?
No, Mr. Soto
I'm
and I
just
work
kidding you.
very closely together. He hears me coming down the stairs sometimes. Is like, oh, she's coming in my office.
Okay, I just want to reassure the board that for that conversation, that because of all of the publicity in Phoenix, especially, that all of those things are happening with grants. Thanks, Deborah.
You're welcome.
All right. Did you have anything else you want to add?
Good.
Do you want to move on to your report, Mrs. Cox, please?
So, good afternoon. I am happy to report that we have filled almost all of our vacancies. We still have the 2 at Douglas High School, which are an ELA and a science position. And so we're actively looking for people to fill those positions. But we're in good shape. We are waiting for 3 teachers to begin. So we have 1 at RBMS, 1 at Stevenson, and 1 at Douglas High School. And they should be in the classroom in a couple of weeks, maybe 2 weeks. So our enrollment, we currently stand at 3,687. We ended last year at 3,645. I am happy to report we have had 134 new enrollments. However, we have lost 106 students. Okay, so 64 of those students have moved out of town. 10 of them went to Loretto. 7 are no-shows, but mainly preschool kids. 7 went to Omega. 5 went to Primavera. 2 decided to go online. 4 to Pep Tech. 1 to Cass. 3 to Liberty. And 2 to Head Start. So we are going to start our enrollment campaign again. We're going to publish it in the Herald and do anything that we can to try to help our enrollment numbers. So that's-
Members of the board, any questions, comments?
Thank you.
Thank you. Public comments, we do have individuals who want to address the board, and I'm going to take them the way they were handed to me. We have Mr. Jesus Duarte, who wants to speak about the cheer team letter writing campaign gone wrong. Whatever that means, you can explain, I'm sure.
Well, good afternoon, Mr. Bahrain, board members, Superintendent Samaniego. I'm Jesus Chuy Duarte, 2328 14th Street. I'll give you a little background really quickly to explain why this is an issue that comes close to my heart. I spent 16 years with Cochise County, and 11 of those were spent to develop the Cochise County Youth Health Coalition, which was a group of active high school kids, sometimes some middle school kids, that we learned to advocate for our community. Probably Mr. Lindeman, Mr. Bahrain, that worked on the city council, they know how hard, they probably hear a lot of community members complain about things that they want changed, they'll get done. But this group of kids, they actually changed 2 city ordinances. So they weren't just talking. And the way that they did it, the way that we taught them to advocate was through letter writing. They wrote letters to our city council to get some things moving. We wrote letters to Senator Griffin at the time, Representatives Gowen and Stevens, and we even had meetings with them up there. And the kids started realizing that a writing letter campaign pays off. It works. And I taught them that it's also a First Amendment right to address their elected officials. What I heard now is that these kids, the cheerleading team, they wrote letters. Some of them came to the administrators. Maybe some of them, they said they came to some board members, and they just wanted an update as to what was going to happen with their cheer coach, what was going to happen when they could start practicing. You know, this is the last team that won a state championship for us. They were state runners-up last year, and they wanted to get moving through the summer and start some practices and get moving. Turns out that a couple Fridays ago, they were told that they were going to be given an update, and some administrators from the high school met with the students, and they were very strongly reprimanded for writing these letters. Some of those kids left that meeting in tears. They were crying. They were told that they didn't do the things the right way. You know, if we're trying to educate our kids to become participants in this process, they can't be reprimanded for that. Are we going to hear about them again as to what happened at that meeting? Most likely not, because if they learned their lesson, they're going to be quiet now. These are our future leaders. They're going to be involved in policy. You know, we see our student body officer here, and if that's going to be the environment for our, you know, we'll go with what we talked about at opening for the teachers, for our treasures, it's not going to work out for them. I'm asking for the board and the leadership team to please look into this incident and find out what happened, talk to the cheer team, talk to them, and make sure that the kids have a positive environment where they feel that they can reach out to the leaders, to the people that have their best interest in mind, and not be reprimanded for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr.
Good night.
Duarte. Martha Alonso, present new officers.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Samaniego, members of our administration, and members of the public. I do have my little presentation for DEA, so Douglas Educators Association. We had our elections at the end of last year, and we had a big change in our officership, which we haven't had in years. Usually Brita and I just switch hats, and that's about it. So I did want to bring them to you and just introduce our new leadership. I will continue to be the president for this year, but we have two new faces. So we have Mr. Josue de la Rea. He's our vice president. We have Ms. Eliza Lindemann and Melissa Orange, and she is our secretary. Okay. And Ms. Alvina Hughes will continue to be our treasurer. So we wanted to bring them to you and present them. It is very interesting for me to have two of my former students now be my officers with me. So we're very excited. They're excited to be here. It's bringing new ideas, new perspectives, and so we wanted the board to be aware that we have our new officers. We do have representatives at each school, and we do have new representatives, but we wanted to make sure that our officers were recognized tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. We all have such a great mutual admiration society, right? That you didn't even have to say what their officers. Did you mention the Douglas Education Association?
I did, yeah, at the beginning.
Okay, I just wanted to give you an extra plug there.
Yes, thank you. Absolutely, thank you. So yeah, we're the Douglas Educators Association.
Thank you, Martha.
Mhm.
And the next one we have is it's Martha again.
Martha.
Go ahead.
So, I wanted to tell you about HOSA and the students this summer. I wanted to bring them, but there's 54 people, 47 of them, so of course we don't want to bring them. But I did want to just let you know how we did, because I know it was definitely the most expensive CTSO this summer to send that amount of students and adults to herd that many little kittens around. It was a challenge. I heard from Ms. Barayardos that Ms. Samaniego and her had fun with just a little handful of them. We had 47, and it was challenging, but we did have the most successful summer international conference. I do want to mention Ms. Liliana Salazar, who did not go with us but went to SIMI at the U of A, and she spent the summer, I had to write this down because she spent the summer researching PNA5 decreasing megalenioma activation in heart failure patients. So she actually got an internship at the U of A, and she did have a choice, and I know your ex officio officer went last year to SIMI as well, and so we have had students that go to these internships as well. As far as our representatives at HOSA, we did have 2 students that did healthcare issues, and just to give you background on healthcare issues, there are over 2,000 students that take the exam at internationals. It is the only competition that students can do while doing their competition, so they can only choose one competition and to take the healthcare issues exam. We had 6 students that took it, and we had one that placed in 3rd place and one that placed in 24th out of 2,000 students in the nation. Our public health team, which did a presentation on technology addiction, got 5th place. Our parliamentary procedure team got 5th place. Our chapter was recognized for multiple recognitions. So we had 5 officers that were recognized for American Red Cross volunteer service. We were the only school in Arizona to be recognized by the American Red Cross as a gold chapter. We were also recognized by the National Bone Marrow Donors Program as a gold chapter. Our president, who presented to you last year, the one that wrote the article for the national magazine, she got an award for more than 100 hours of volunteer service. We also got Outstanding Chapter Award, which is the HOSA Happenings, and that's just for our publication on social media. And finally, they also recognized, this is the only thing we get. We're not like Sickles USA gets big old trophies, and HOSA just gives us a little plaque. But we got our little plaque. And so we got our HOSA Happenings, and Outstanding HOSA Advisor of the Year was myself for the state of Arizona, and so we got our little plaques. But our students were very, very excited. They had never been up on stage that many times, and so having their school name be called up, seeing their peers going on stage, they were at my door Wednesday, first day of school. When do we sign up? When are we starting practices? And I'm like, I don't even know my kids yet. So they're very excited to get started again. And I think that's a testament of what it does to our kids to have these conferences and these competitions, and how excited they're to come back to school, because they have been getting prepared all through June and July, and now they want to come back and start already in August. And that's because they see the success that they've had. So thank you, and have a great rest of your meeting.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Item 2, consent agenda items A, approval of the following consent agenda items, payroll and expense vouchers A, B, and C. Mr. Lindeman.
I move to approve the consent agenda items as listed.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Rogers. Any discussion, members of the board, regarding the roll call?
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bray?
Yes. Item 3, action items, discussion action on the approval of certified hires. Ms. Samaniego.
Yes, as presented, we have a teacher, and you see multiple emergency sub and substitute teachers, and that just means that they're part of our sub pool, not that they're in classrooms every day.
Mr. Lindemann.
I move to approve the certified hires.
Is there a second?
I second.
By Ms. Salchow. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bray?
Yes. Item B, discussion action on the approval of classified hires. Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, you have some instructional aides, classified positions.
Mr. Lindeman,
Move to approve the classified hires.
is there a second?
Second.
Members of the board, any discussion? Anything you want to add?
No.
Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes, item C, discussion action on the approval of classified transfer, Ms. Samaniego.
We have one transfer, and it is affecting pay, so going from an ESS instructional aide at Clausen to the vacancy for the parent liaison at Sarah Marley.
Is the reason for the board approval because of an increase in
Yes.
pay?
Yes, from
Is
16
it
to
in the
20.
background?
Yes,
Okay, great.
Yes.
Mr. Lindeman,
Move to approve the classified transfer.
is there a second?
Second.
By Ms. Salchow. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes, item D, discussing information only for certified and classified internal transfers. Ms. Samaniego.
let me see. So this as, just for information purposes, Mr. Clint Hill, is still ESS teacher, just moving from RBMS to Stevenson. Dulce Ramos from Stevenson to Ferris. And happy to inform that we are now have filled the vacancy RBMS assistant principal with Ms. Jessica Castillo, our current school improvement specialist from the CFPD program. And again, one of our Grow Your Own administrators from the Impact program that we approved them to get their masters. And it's just for information purposes, so we're excited to have Jessica now as one of our administrators. Yes, so at this time, if we have any hires, Ms. Jessica Castillo, we'll start with you to introduce yourself, and any classified hires as well.
Good evening, Mr. Board President, board members, Mrs. Samaniego. I'm very excited for this new position. I want to thank you all for this opportunity. It's time to start building those relationships with the students, the staff, and the families, so thank you.
Jessica, how long have you been with the district?
22 years.
And you started, as I think, as a kindergarten teacher, right?
Correct. I did kindergarten for 11 years at Stevenson. Then I did 5 years at Stevenson, 5th grade. Then I did 2 years of an ELD coach, 3 years of school improvement specialist.
And as the superintendent mentioned, you're part of that program, right?
Correct.
That Grow Your Own, which is, we're starting to see the fruits of that.
Yes.
That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
I don't know if I have any other hires, and
Oh, you
I
don't?
believe I don't.
Okay. Item D, discussion information only for certified and classified internal oh, that's what we just did, and we don't need any action on that. Item E, discussion action on the approval of classified resignation, Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, we have, where am I? What letter is that? I lost one. D?
E.
Okay, E. We have some positions, some just resigned effective. We have Alexis Campos at Sarah Marley, which was the parent liaison, a couple instructional aides, and Mr. Rene Mora as campus security, effective on 8/14/24. And you have their letters in the back. Some of them are moving, some of them are doing other things, and I think Mr. Rene Mora is going to enjoy his retirement, second retirement.
Mr. Lindeman?
Move to approve the classified resignations.
Second?
Second.
By Ms. Salchow, discussion. I just want to point out that earlier you had a hire or a transfer of Mr.
Damaris
Barco. Stephen
yes.
Barco. And I just want to point out that Mr. Mota you definitely will fill that position. And then I just want to say that board members, this is part of the security. We can never have too much security. I think it's something that we publicly stated for the last couple of years, that we want to make sure that we do everything which is reasonable within the budget, but of course, even go a further step if we have to with security, because we can never get too much security. And I think this is part of that program, and you will be replacing Mr. Mota, correct?
Yes, so Mr. Mota will leave a vacancy in 2 weeks, and one of our new hires will be sent to Ferris temporarily, but we will hire for that vacancy.
Okay.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes, item F, discussion action on the approval of request to rescind certified retirement, Ms. Samaniego.
Yes, Maria Sexton had submitted a retirement letter previously and shows she's rescinding, and glad that she's staying.
Anything you want to point out?
No.
Anything on that? Mr. Lindemann?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Ms. Salchow. Further discussion? Members of the board? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes. Item G, discussion action on the approval of addendum, Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, I want to make sure that all of these are high school related. This is routine. We always bring the CATSOs, anybody teaching an extra class, department chairs, class sponsors, and so forth. So as presented, and all of the amounts there are per our, the CTSO and extra duties that we have board approved.
Motion on the floor. for
I
discussion.
move to approve the addendums as listed.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Smith.
Mr. Bahrain, I do have a couple just corrections, typing or errors. So Adrian Torres, it says CTSO sponsor. He's actually CTSO Skills USA Construction, so I want to make sure that's for the record. And then Miriam Orduño, Folklorico sponsor. It's actually Miriam Snyder, Folklorico sponsor. So I just want to make sure we have that on record.
Did you get that, board members?
Yes.
Yes.
Any discussion? The band director, I noticed that he bought a guitarrón and a viruela. That was purchased by the district. Does that mean that we're gonna have a mariachi band, I hope?
Slowly but surely, yes. So there is actually a class that is part of his instructional time. And we purchased those two, and we'll be purchasing more in the near future, right, Mr. Salter?
And where's that class gonna?
It's one of his classes at the high school right now.
But he is already
Yes.
into that?
Mhm.
Very good. Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes, item H, discussion action on the approval of athletic addendums, Ms. Samaniego.
Okay. We have the following four, and these are at Ray Bahrain Middle School for the following sports as per your agenda: cross-country and volleyball.
Mr. Lindemann,
Move to approve the athletic addendums.
is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Ramos. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes, item I, discussion action on the approval of athletic hires, Ms. Samaniego.
Okay, so I do need to remove, for the record, under I, the first bullet point, name Anthony Arvayo from the agenda, please. So with that removal, then I am recommending Kristen Gibney as the Spirit Line coach for Douglas High School.
For discussion, Mr. Lindemann,
I move to approve the athletic hires and Kristen Gibney for Spirit Line coach.
second?
Second.
Was the, was the first bullet, was that a paid position?
Yes, but we are not presenting him at this time.
Did that just recently come up?
Yes, today.
We're going to have a study session, board members, regarding athletics very soon.
Yes.
And we're going to be discussing a lot of things, their budgets, evaluation of coaches, their expenditures, their hiring practices, their evaluation, all those things, correct?
Yes,
And
number
we're
of
gonna-
volunteers,
Go ahead.
teams, number of teams, anything encompassing athletics.
And it'll be an open forum type thing, right?
Mhm.
And understand Ms. Tinta's doing a wonderful job getting acclimated to that position up there, and hopefully by that time she'll be able to give us all the information that we're looking for, and we will do that before the next board meeting, correct?
Yes.
All right, so you will be notifying board
Yes.
members when that'll take place. Okay. Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Breen?
Yes. Item J, discussion action on the approval of volunteers for Douglas High School, Ms. Samaniego.
As we presented the athletic hires only for the fall sports, I am presenting only the fall sport volunteers for your approval.
And, okay, let's get a motion on
I move to approve the volunteers for DHS.
it. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion, board members? We'll take all of this up at that study session.
Yes.
Anything else you want to add regarding
No,
that?
not right now.
Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Breen?
Yes, item K, discussion action on the approval of donations received for Douglas Unified Schools number 27. Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, we have a donation, donors choose for Sarah Marley, fifth grade, Miss Anissa Morales for $369.94, and Paul Huber Middle School eighth grade writing class, Miss Selena Galas for $739.34 and $566.35. We also have a donation of power washing services with hot water and disinfectant for our 5 elementary school playgrounds from American Pressure Wash LLC for an estimated value of $1,500. And I'm very appreciative. They power washed all of our playgrounds. The spouse of the owner, she used to work for DUSD and now is a stay-at-home mom. So she reached out to me, and I'm very grateful for what they did and cleaned them.
Before we get a motion on the floor, is that individual a vendor? Is he a vendor? Did the district do business with him?
We had not done business with them, but I believe Mr. Soto met with them, and they are now going to,
They're gonna be on our vendor list.
Mhm.
Yeah, but they were not.
they were not at time of donation.
Okay. Mr. Lindemann,
Move to approve the donations as listed.
is there a second?
Second.
By Ms. Salcho. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Breen?
Yes, item L, discussion action on the approval of payment to teachers and long-term substitutes that attended the new teacher induction training. Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, you have the training information, the list of employees, and so we're requesting that they be paid for their new teacher induction training days at $150 a day, and the funding is MIPS.
Appropriately, Mr. Lindemann, you should make that motion.
I move to approve the payment to teachers' long-term substitutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Ms. Salcho. Discussion?
I just want to say that I appreciate the, this on behalf of the teachers that do that, because, you know, my philosophy is that if you're asked to do professional time, you should be professionally compensated.
Yes.
And as a former new teacher induction coach, it will be very appreciated by our
Our
new
staff.
teachers.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Breen?
Yes, item M, discussion action on the approval of retention and recruitment stipends for certified staff, classified staff, and administrators from ESSER 3 funding. Ms. Samaniego.
Okay, so I'm happy to report that finally, after the 19th revision of the ESSER grant, it was finally approved a week and a half ago, I think. And so, as we've been talking over the course of the last board meetings, since we provided the 3% raise, we always said we wanted to do at least one more stipend through our ESSER funding under the premise of the recruitment and retention. So I'm happy to present to you that we propose, if approved, to spend out of ESSER a total of $2,895,875,000 to be paid out to all of our employees who qualify under the signing bonus, retention stipend, and those stipends that were for recruitment purposes. All the information is there, and and you have all the names, and our proposed payout for the one-time payment is planned to be paid out on August the 16th, which is the next pay period. And unfortunately, ESSER is going away. So this is the last go-around of our, one-time stipend as a thank you to all of our colleagues who returned and signed their wage notice or contract and returned to continue working at DUSD.
Board members, just to refresh your memory, she did a good job, but this is what we've been talking about, that one-time payment that we talked about way last school year. And so it's become, or it's realized now. So, thank the staff for working through that. Did you give any amounts of how much it's gonna be?
I gave it a total amount of the whole expenditure, and I've broken down in your information the certified staff amount. We have what we did, or Mrs. Herrera with her expertise in grants, and finally getting approved. Before, we had like a one flat amount, and so this is a one-time last amount. So it all goes along with their position, responsibility, and time frame of work. We have some classified staff that are part-time, then 9 months, then 12 months. So you'll see a $500 difference there, but it's all in your background.
But it's worthy of mention
Yes.
for public
So
consumption.
certified staff, 5,500, administrators and directors, 6,000, classified general and classified support staff full-time, 3,500, classified general and support staff 9 to 11-month employees, 2,900, classified part-time IAs, food service, 1,500, recruitment stipends for teachers and counselors. Anybody newly that we required will get a one-time recruitment of 3,000, and any new administrator that we recruited would get $3,000. For the specifications, that anybody that was hired after April 2024 did not qualify for this retention stipend, and that was a stipulation within the parameters of the grant. And then only district employees qualified. Stipends will be paid out on August 24th, and then the recruitment stipend in itself, they had to have been hired by July 15th, 2024, and signed and returned their contract by July 31st. Again, only as a district employee, and stipends planned to be paid out in August 16th.
And that one-time payment will be made, when did you say?
August the 16th, so next pay period.
So that means that, and it'll be done all in one lump sum, or?
All in one lump sum,
So that'll be $5,500 for all certified staff, 6,000, that's great, that's wonderful. So, board members, Mr. Lindeman, entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Ms.
Salcha.
Salcha.
Any discussion?
Again, I just want to say that we're happy to be able to provide this for our hardworking employees.
Very good, and Mr. Soto, just by way of just one more time to explain where those funds came from, so that people know that it's nothing that is affected by the M&O, et cetera.
Right, the funding for these stipends is the ESSER 3, which were given to, from the federal government mainly
Okay.
because of COVID. So this is, none of these stipends are gonna come out of M&O or any of the district funds.
Yeah, it's federal funds, and that's the word I wanted you to use. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindeman?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes, item N, discussion action on approval of 301 performance pay for the 2024-25 school year pursuant to ARS 15-977. Ms. Samaniego.
This is our, every year we have to bring the 301 performance pay plan, which provides our staff that qualifies under 301. And so you have our eligible members include teachers, counselors, librarians with a teaching certificate, and all other employees under subsection H of the Classroom Site Fund, our TOSAs, our support staff, counselors, and behavior specialists without a teaching certificate that qualify under the student support services criteria. And you have the plan right there. Mrs. Cox oversees that 301 committee and ensures that everybody that receives this extra funding meets the qualifications under the performance pay plan.
By way of explanation, Ms. Cox, do you want to add anything to that?
No, not at this moment, except that under subsection H, nurses also should be included there.
I think you have that in the background information that they are.
Yes. So counselors, behavior specialists, student
Wanna make
support
sure.
services, and I will add, because it's not on there. So I want to make sure that we have Alma, that nurses are included under the student support services criteria.
Yes,
Yeah, it's a good thing you mentioned that
Yeah.
because we'd have to come back and do that.
yes.
Is the ex officio officer included in that? She's looking around wondering, yeah, like, it'd be nice if she were. Motion on the floor.
I move to approve the performance pay plan.
Second?
Second by Mr. Smith. Any further explanation or discussion?
No, Mr. Soto, do you foresee an amount for 301 this year?
Okay, Not really a specific amount, but it looks like it's gonna be more than what it was this past year, and this past year was 15,000 something. So sales revenues are increasing locally for the state and for the teachers, so, yeah, I foresee an increase on that amount.
Is there anybody here that wants to address the board from the committee or anything on 301? Who is the chair of that committee?
Ms. Barayacos.
Okay, do you want to say, of course, always, Martha?
No, it's just me. Andrea couldn't make it, so she asked for us to clarify, just because we have gotten a lot of emails from teachers asking about the payout. And so the way that they read it, they were concerned about the number of payouts. So we just want to reiterate, it's the same, November, May, and then one of the payments was moved to June. That was the only change. We had been getting a lot of questions about that, and so we just wanted to clarify for anybody listening that it's still the same payments, it's just one was moved to June.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
And if I may, Mr. Brain, in the plan itself, under 2 eligible members, it does have counselors, nurses, and librarians there.
Yeah, I thought I'd seen it, but I didn't want to second guess you because like I do Alma, when I do that, I'm always wrong. So, yeah, I did, and we saw counselors there as
She's
well.
not there.
Yes.
All right, any further discussion regarding that?
No.
Alma?
The other question that members had was the evaluation tied. And I know that it's in there, we just haven't really maybe clarified how evaluations could affect the performance pay. And we
Okay.
have been getting a lot of questions about that, so we were just going to pass it on to Denise for clarification.
And we'll talk about it.
Well, looking at number 2 on the teacher performance.
Excuse me, we don't have a motion yet, do we?
Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Oh, we do? Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. Looking at the number 2 under teacher performance classification, it does list that they have to maintain effective or highly effective. So,
Yes. And that's been there,
Yes. Since
I
it
think,
started.
yeah, since it started, so.
And I'd just like to report that we don't have any teachers at the end of the year, luckily, that are in the developing or,
good.
yes, in those the last 2 categories, so.
Okay, and the staff, thank you for all the hard work you did that, especially on the ESSER and this, because it takes a lot of time and effort to put all of this together and coordinate it. So thank you for that.
Thank you,
And,
Mrs. Herrera, and thank you to our new grants coordinator who just came into grants.
Make sure that-
All right, roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Brain?
Yes. Item O, discussion action on the approval of the Arizona Department of Education Food Program Permanent Service Agreement for School Food Authorities. Ms. Samaniego.
I had to bring this board, whenever we have a change in board, and not that we had one recently, but the last time that we brought to the board this agreement, there were other board members, and so we're just, Mr. Pineda is the Child Nutrition Director and authorized signer on this agreement, and it's just for our food program.
Entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second
Second.
by Ms. Elchow. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Brain?
Yes. Item P, discussion action on the approval of student teachers teaching under the University of Arizona Pathway Program. Ms. Samaniego.
We continue to partner with U of A for our Grow Our Own Teacher program, and so we have 10 pathway candidates that will be student teaching in our classrooms, and you have their names there.
Mr. Lindeman.
Move to approve.
Second
Second.
by Ms. Elchow. Any further discussion? Do you want to, there's no this is an ongoing.
An
program.
ongoing, yes.
All right.
We've been partnering with University of Arizona for quite
Is,
some time.
I just have one quick question.
ahead.
Do we know which classroom they're going to be observing?
Mrs. Cox?
Yes, we do. We have the list. I don't have it in front of me right now, but there are 2 at Clausen in 4th grade, 2 at Sarah Marley in 5th grade. There are 3 in Stevenson, 3 at Stevenson 2nd grade, and then 2 at Joe Carlson in 4th grade.
Is this a year-long program?
Yes, it
or-
is. And very different to the teacher preparation program we went through. Very,
Right.
very different.
Yeah.
Yes.
Different. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes, item Q, discussion action on the approval to appoint Ms. Jana Salchow to represent Douglas Unified School District Number 27 as the district delegate to the Arizona School Boards Association Delegate Assembly on September the 7th, 2024. Mr. Lindemann?
I move to approve the appointment of Ms. Jana Selchow.
Second.
Second by Mr. Smith. Discussion, Ms. Salchow, I'm sure glad you're still willing to do that by
Well, thank you for your confidence.
by proclamation.
By proclamation.
I think the next item is the one where we discuss if the board wants to put anything on there. We're just appointing her to do that, so roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes. Item R, discussion action on the approval of the Arizona School Boards Association Draft 2025 Political Agenda and direct the district delegate to the ASBA Delegate Assembly to represent the board's determined position. Before we even have a motion, we need to see if there's any position that we want to take, and then we vote on it. And if there's none, then we don't vote on anything. So is there anything that the board would like Ms. Salchow to take, any position regarding anything? Mr.
Mr.
Lundberg.
President, if I can just say that when I go through all of these legislative proxies, it looks to me like they're going to be more proactive now, which is a good thing, I think, up in the legislature, and hopefully we'll actually get some movement with some of these needed issues that have been ongoing. So, thank you.
Anything else, members of the board? There's nothing specific board members would like to see that you'd like politically get done or educationally. ASB has become very political anyway, so, nothing?
If I may, I know
ahead.
I'm not a board member,
No,
but,
go
and
ahead.
I don't know, I know that what I've seen in most recent, and I'm glad Nicole is here, so pay attention. So I don't know if you've seen the news out there, but a lot of school districts are banning cell phones from being utilized in school districts. So I'm not sure if that is a item, on a political agenda, but I know nationwide, a lot of school districts are moving in that direction because of the complexity, the problems that they're seeing with students' attention, and just the use of cell phones in schools. I have been approached by at least one administrator or a couple about, can we go in this direction? And as I said, that would take, of course, involvement in some parent meetings and discussions, and that would ultimately be a board matter. But are cell phones a problem at the high school? What would you think?
Well, first of all, before you get, and I hate to interrupt you, we're a little far adrift here. We're talking about positions that the board would take at the state level regarding any political or any
Agenda.
special interest we have. Cell phones at the high school is a completely different subject. So I hate to tell you, that would be out of order if we discuss that
Okay.
now. So let me just say this. You be thinking about it too. You're gonna have another month to think about it. And get a lot of input. You might even bring it up to student council and say, we came up at the board meeting that they're thinking about, and then we'd get a flood of kids down here. But that they're thinking about, but what you could do, and we're not into a heavy discussion regarding it. We're just addressing it in a cursory manner. For the next board meeting, you may want to propose something, talk to the administration, see what they think about it. And I think that the board would would welcome a discussion regarding that, because you're absolutely correct. It is being banned in a lot of schools nationally. So we're not going to discuss it now. But Nicole, if you want to, be sure you discuss it at a student council, get back to the administration, and then she can have it put on the agenda if the board would like to see it on the agenda for discussion. And then we really would have to move out in the patio when we did that. But
With security.
but it would be a worthy discussion at least. I think we ought to entertain it, especially if the principals and staff feel strongly about it. So we're going to get off that now because we shouldn't have moved into it that much anyway. So we don't need a motion because we're not taking a position on anything.
You do need a
It
motion to
says,
approve
it says action.
So that she can be present at the assembly.
You have to vote me in.
It says action, so I move to approve.
Oh, okay. Second?
Second it, yeah.
Who got it? Mr. Ramos. Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes. Item S, discussion information on the policy exhibit GCF-EE, professional and support staff hiring district interview committees. That's an exhibit, Ms. Samaniego.
I'm presenting an exhibit dealing within our hiring practices and our hiring policies. And all this is allowing us to do, it is frame a better procedure in place for hiring committees, where we have identified that in every hiring committee, there should be at least a minimum of 3 people who should be part of the committee, following some procedures that have the HR department collaborate with the hiring, let's say, manager or department or school district, talking about confidentiality. And so if approved, this will become part of our policies. I mean, it doesn't require a vote because it's a exhibit, but it will go under our hiring practices and will be discussed with our administrators if, you know.
I think it also assures that you're in compliance with all state and federal hiring laws too, is to make sure that we do. All right, that's for information only. Discussion, members of the board, regarding that? Item T, discussion action on the approval of new safety officer. Oh, this is the SSO officer, full-time position and job description. Ms. Samaniego.
Board, if you remember, last semester, around December or January, I brought forth an IGA with the city of Douglas so that we could move forward on hiring an SSO through the Stronger Connections grant. In January, we are at a standstill because of some state statutes that the city of Douglas could not hire back one of their own officers who retired from them and worked for them because they don't have a retire rehire program like we do, ESI. So that led us to not move forward and be able to hire our SSO. So we are fortunate enough that the Stronger Connections grant, which allows us to hire an SSO ourselves, along with the partnership with the city of Douglas. I created the job description. This will be a paid position funded by the Stronger Connections grant. We have the grant for another 2 years. We didn't use any of the funding the first year, so all of the funding can be utilized for the next 2 years. And this is only intended to place an SSO, not an SRO, at our 2 middle schools. So if you approve the job description, it will allow us to post and begin doing a search. The next thing I will bring before the next board meeting, or at the next board meeting, is the updated IGA with the city of Douglas. But I think this is an excellent opportunity to allow us to further enhance our security measures with this grant and money that is provided to us instead of it sitting there and not moving anywhere.
And that's 2 positions, right?
Yes, hopefully we can find 2 qualified applicants.
Okay, members of the board, Mr. Lindemann,
I move to
entertain a
approve.
motion to approve the posting and the recruitment.
Move to approve the posting and recruitment.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Smith, Any further discussion?
I have a
Mr.
question.
Mr. Lindeman.
Did we figure out who was gonna do the evaluations
For whom?
for this?
For this,
The assessment.
if you look at the job description, it falls under the security department, so supervisor, along with the principal
Okay.
at the site.
Good, thank you.
I think the question that Mr. Lindeman was asking prior to when the SSO was gonna be their employee, that was the question that came about, but this would be our employee.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Elka?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Burry?
Yes. Item 4, Ms. Samaniego, information items, announcements.
Yes. Let's see. Gosh, we already have Labor Day, no school, on September the 2nd. Our next regular board meeting is on September the 3rd. And this will be the first full week of a complete week of school. So our teachers are exhausted already.
And you're going to, you're gonna survey the board, see what day is gonna be good for that athletic study session, correct? All right, entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're